Hi, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. So today I just want to take a little bit of time um in the spirit of just reading a little bit, kind of, as often as I can right now. It won't be till the end, or actually maybe the beginning of April that until, like, where I'm like fully devoted to Parinama methods. So it's like I try to fit in what I can when I can. So it's really just I want to show up to the best of my ability for you here. And so for today, it's like a start out with chapter 3. So if you've been following along now, I think we're at like page 40 or 41. And like one of the things that's kind of funny is that I was just thinking when I was getting on this live that it's like right now I have a lot of projects going right now, so I'm kind of like, my energy's kind of low. And as I'm wrapping a lot of stuff up to get very focused on bringing Parinama into the world, it's like my energy's really low, but I'm incredibly like optimistic and excited about what is about to be on offer. And and this comes from a really practical place because right now I'm working in companies and I'm working with professionals and people and that kind of thing, and really seeing what's possible with Parinama, and very specifically as it relates to um, like nervous system mastery, I guess I'd call it. So look, so this kind of low energy vibe here. So that's if you're watching, thanks for coming along for the ride. And like my hope is just to spend a couple minutes here reading through the beginning of chapter 3. And if you're following along, chapter 1 is like an introduction to sort of the overall ethos of the Parinama method. Then chapter 2 is almost it is like a kind of a key for how all of the individual hub chapters will be shaped, which is learning what the hub is, understanding what stressors and interruptions are, and then knowing what adaptations are as it relates and how they relate to charge and voltage, and then some techniques and exercises. So that's preparation for getting into the method in depth in part 2. That'll be, that comes up next. But when we get into with chapter 3, and sometimes with chapter 3 I recommend that people just, like, if they really want to get into it, to read chapter 1, chapter 2, and then go into the hub chapters and skip this chapter. um it's, like, not necessarily needing this to be chronological unless it calls to you. And it has a very specific purpose in it, and that is that it is connected to chapter 10, which is the 7th hub. And there's definitely like an energy, like, sort of, or like an intentionalness in terms of this being about, like, it's starting with the end. So it's going back into the very physical somatic aspect of the practice. But the chapter 3 is a nod to this kind of like greater aspect of purpose. So and like something, like the sense, I think, of what calls people um to this work is what this chapter alludes to, which is, sort of the deeper importance of your life and the deeper connection to a, like something larger. So anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you for coming along for the ride. As I've said before, these videos are really just more like, my intention with them, in addition to trying to read the book cover to cover this year, is to just get more comfortable talking to a camera, which is, still a work in progress. But, as the experts say, that it takes reps, it takes reps. You just have to keep um, doing it and getting more comfortable. So anyway, so chapter 3, the title of the chapter is The Method: Entering the Void, Paradox, Ambiguity, and Nuance. And so it begins with the Walt Whitman quote of, Do I contradict myself? Well, very well then, I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes. And, yeah, I mean, I just keep finding that I, like, talk about it, and then I read it, and then, like, it's more concise in the actual, text, so let's just get at it, in the interest of time. So I'm just gonna try to, let's see how we are. We're, like, 5.5 minutes, so I'm gonna try to get, like, get through to, like, 10 minutes. Let's see how we do there. Alright, okay. So our physical body is as magical and mysterious as the enlivening force, sometimes called the soul, within it. For millennia, world cultures have contemplated many of the same questions. What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? What creates life and enlivens a body? Astronomer Carl Sagan said, "We are made of star stuff because the atoms in our body were once scattered across the cosmos. So perhaps the greatest question of all is this: within a body made of cosmic matter, what's the invisible essence that enlivens it?" The answer may be that it's the essence comprising the spark of life, destiny, uniqueness, with interconnectedness to the larger force of the universe. Aristotle considered the intersection of what we are and what we can be a hylomorphism. Hylo means matter, and morph means form. That is, our body mind is matter, and morphism is the potential and destiny that form it. Aristotle also connected entelechy, entelechy, oh my God, the realization of potential to his concept of matter and the ability to become. The vital principle that guides the development and actualization of the potential within every human life. I'm going to reread that. My cat distracted me for a second. So it's like, it's kind of weird. I don't know why I have a hard time saying it. I've said it in my mind a million times. So Aristotle also connected entelechy, the realization of potential, to his concept of matter and the ability to become, the vital principle that guides the development and actualization of the potential within every human life. This most remarkable thing that we have and that we are is the unknown force within our body that requires no effort. The miracle of life is within you, the emblem. Perhaps the emblem is like an eye that can only see itself in a mirror because it's the core of what we are, the witnessing presence within us. And perhaps the evolution of consciousness is this witness seeking to see itself, attempting to understand what it is. Yeah, the emblem can often be bothersome, making life difficult because it wants to follow its destiny. It doesn't preoccupy itself with physical needs and safety, yet because it's in the flow of something larger than we understand, it can deliver us to abundance beyond comprehension. But for all its magic and mystery, the emblem exists within the practical needs of the body mind, and our physical needs must be established before we can truly surrender to the emblem's mission. Imagine or believe that your soul is born into your body and must stay alive to achieve its mission. That is, to learn its lessons, to make its contribution, and to have the experiences of being alive. You have the body mind experiencing the world. You are an emblem with an important purpose. Again, an emblem has a mission, and the practicality of life keeps getting in the way. Or is it an essential part of the experience? Really, like, I'm reading this super flat. Oh my God. All right. Our destiny doesn't leave us alone. Craving authenticity, mastery, and purpose haunt us, even when we don't know exactly why or what we're supposed to do. Plato believed that our soul selects our parents before we're born, recognizing that once we're born, it won't remember its destiny, and for better or for worse, the selected parents will help it to know. Because your emblem is invisible and can only be perceived in subtlety, it expresses and recognizes itself in metaphor and mythology. It's difficult to put into words the strong feelings we get from movies, books, and other forms of storytelling. Universal themes, such as the hero's journey, can be deeply evocative and transcend explanation. See chapter 4. Glasses slipped down. We only come close when we express a sense of recognition, often using metaphors and words, visual art, movement, or music. You are an effortless original. Acting teacher Keith Johnston, who pioneered improvisational theater, writes in Improvisation in the Theater, that when we try to be original, we block our innate originality. According to Johnstone, striving after originality takes you far away from your true self and makes your work mediocre. The performative aspects of behavior, often intended to charm or to intrigue, do the opposite as they often create behavior that's contrived and fake. The effortless and unaffected expression of who you are gets contaminated when we believe we should act in ways that are more interesting. We're only boring to ourselves because we're so familiar. We fear we're unremarkable or unworthy, but attempting to appear interesting robs us of the innate appeal of our authenticity. Actors' charisma partially arises from their ability to be organic, authentic, and spontaneous, and there is a noticeable magnetism in people freely expressing themselves. The expression of your emblem is always spontaneous and organic, and restoration of the natural rhythm and flow in each of your hubs allows more of your authentic self to be revealed. Many of us don't know how to access the nature of our emblem because we hide important parts of ourselves so we can belong. The need to belong is a practicality of our physical existence that often interferes with authentic self expression. After all, most schools where we learn socialization don't value or develop all aspects of intelligence, instead focusing narrowly on math, science, reading, writing, and curating and a curated version of history. Developmental psychologist Howard Gardner challenges the narrow scope of this theory of with his theory of multiple intelligences, which identifies 8 specific forms of intellect: naturalist, understanding living things in nature; bodily, kinesthetic, coordinating mind and body; interpersonal, intrapersonal rather, understanding yourself, what you feel and what you want; interpersonal, sensing people's feelings and motives, emotional intelligence; linguistic, the ability to find the words to express yourself, closely tied to reading and writing; musical, discerning sounds, their tone, pitch, rhythm, and timbre; spatial, visualizing the world in 3D; and logical and mathematical, quantifying things, making hypotheses, and proving them. All right, I'm going to wrap it there. I think that's enough for today. I'm probably going to hop on tomorrow as well when I'm maybe a little bit more rested. But yeah, I think that it's interesting because I read, is that when I read it, I come to places where it's like re-recognizing these ideas. And also as people are reading the book and talking to me about it, one of the things that is like that's really interesting to me is that these are concepts that are so alive and dynamic that they kind of don't they don't really, land as solid facts, so it really requires, some contemplation, and, it's like and I think one of the things about this particular chapter gets into a nature of something that became really clear to me when I was writing the book, which is that, all truth contains paradox. And what that means is there's just nothing that's absolutely true. There's no piece of information that stands on its own outside of context of other pieces of information. And so it's like that one truth next to something else is transmuted, and that actually becomes a difficult thing when we're trying to come up with answers that are absolute rather than coming up with knowing of principles that actually I think are a bit more obtuse. And such as knowing is like a deep knowingness that you're not flawed and that there's nothing wrong with you. But there's also the aspect of accountability for our actions. There's, one of the concepts in Parinama method that comes later is about showing up. and that being an expression of love and showing up for the things that matter, no matter how like messy and perfect you are, and that involves showing up and failing, that involves showing up and looking bad, that all this kind of stuff that hopefully, in the process of doing the parinama, like some of that stuff gets kind of softened and away, which is like the things that are related to like intense shame and like how fear can operate in certain ways and guilt and even anger. And that's like a much larger, this is all a larger conversation. But but the thing is like there's also the fact that showing up at, like the best you can sometimes isn't as much as is needed, and having to hold that level of responsibility. So that part, the messiness has more, it's like showing up messy when that's the best that you have, um, is also being able to withstand the fact that sometimes that it's like it isn't actually enough. Like what you have isn't enough for like the people that, if you have children, if you have people who work for you or whatever responsibilities, and understanding how to navigate those like nuances and those difficulties that it's just like that, that really a lot of where we're going in this work is about how to actually like really peacefully and effectively, to the best of our ability, expand our capacity, expand our compassion, expand our self-acceptance, um, in really, like, I think pretty, revolutionary ways, all the while, part of that being accountable, like, for things sometimes that, feel beyond our control. So, anyway, I just wanna say, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I love you, and I really welcome the opportunity to answer any questions, to be helpful in any way that I can, in this process, because this is real work. This is real work, and the bravery to encounter it and do it is, something that I admire greatly as we are doing it together. So, so with that said, I'll look forward to next time. I'm going to plan on coming on live probably around noon tomorrow, and I'm going to make another video with the negotiation practice. And so this week I've been teaching negotiation as a somatic practice in my professional life, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more about that. It's been hugely impactful for people. Just even the realization that what is impacting one's ability to effectively navigate difficult situations, asking for more, dealing with conflicts, really has a lot to do with being able to regulate our nervous systems, and the increasing levels of capacity and mastery. And that's what changes the game. It's like, you think about how, in your head, when you think through things, you can be pretty clear about how you want to have the conversation, but when you're in it, it gets intense. So a lot of this is about really working through some of this stuff so that when you're actually having the conversations, you're getting the better outcome. But anyway, I just want to say, love you. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Have a good rest of your day.